my website.
Okay.
No, it's while I had my business. I was out of the spa. I was gone from the spa.
So maybe like 2000.
They were doing a major renovation and shit.
2002, 3, 4, somewhere.
There's a lot of scandals at the spa.
I got you. All right. Yeah. This is This is around the time he was in Punisher.
Oh shit!
That's why he was probably pissed off so much in the movie, man.
That makes sense. He was an angry man in that movie.
Does my name come up with him?
My
Caputo, second massage therapist, fourth massage therapist.
You know what's funny? When I first looked up your name, who came up? I think it was like somebody running
Trump,
for like senator.
Somebody works with Trump,
Yeah.
got the same name,
Yeah.
and another guy that writes 35 free Christian books.
I was
Of
dying.
all people to be connected with me, Trump and the Christian books.
I
started
see it
dying.
Can you
here.
imagine?
It says attorney Travolta was never banned from the hotel
Yep.
spot, so I think that was his attorney speaking.
And he
of him.
says I was just a what he called disgruntled employee.
Okay, everybody, how's it going? It's Eric.
It's Rob. How
We're
y'all
back
doing?
again, EOV Project, and we got a special guest in the building. So I'm gonna introduce himself and we get started.
How you doing? My name is Michael Caputo. I want to mention my website. I'm an author, and I'm the only son of comedian and legendary comedian Pat Cooper, who was most popular in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and then had another comeback in the 80s on the Howard Stern Show with me. And he's actually going to be 94. He's retired, miserable, and he really wasn't there for me growing up. And I wrote a book. My first memoir is called Dear Pat Cooper, What Happened to My Father, Pasquale Caputo. It's on my website, michaelcaputoauthor.com. Anybody can go to that website and find me and find my other book and connect with me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and my YouTube channel. And we're basically going to focus on my second book, which is called Chameleon, a Memoir. And I'm going to read something to give a basic outline of what the book is about.
Great.
And then I'm going to maybe read the first chapter of the first paragraph of the first chapter. And then we're going to see where we go. Okay.
Thank you for that detailed introduction,
For
man.
sure. That might be the best intro we've ever had.
Most prepared guests we came. If you haven't seen the table, look at it now, man. We got PowerPoint presentations.
I
ready
mean,
for you.
I
yeah.
got to put my glasses on, folks, because, you know, when you get old, you got to wear these reading glasses.
That's okay, we understand.
So, you know, Chameleon, a memoir. I'm just going to put it up again.
Make sure y'all go check that out.
No, for
Okay.
sure. I like the cover.
Go ahead.
Okay, yep. The color of it is the color of the. Let me just get into this first. It's the color of the pride flag,
Right.
and the
Right.
pride flag over the years had wasn't all these colors down here.
Mhm.
Okay, the colors were only that without the triangle part in it. Okay, the red, the orange, the sort of yellow or whatever. Okay, that's the progress flag. So they updated it by adding the black,
Mhm.
which stands for people that have died from AIDS and are
Okay.
living with AIDS.
Okay.
They added brown for the people of color community,
Mhm.
and the blue and the pink and the white in the new flag, the progress flag, stands for the transgender community.
Gotcha.
So we got everybody covered with that flag.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm going to read what the book is basically about. It's my second memoir. This book actually took me 7 months to write. My
Oh.
first book took me almost 3 years to really get it together. So I'm excited.
Before you
Yeah.
get into it though, like what is the process of like writing a book? Like a quick like summary of like how does it work?
Yeah. When people ask me, they say, I'd like to write a book. What do you do? I always tell them to make an outline of what you want to talk to in your book.
Right.
So just bullet point certain things. My birth, my mother, my father, my grandparents, my schooling, where I was born. Okay, next thing, grammar school. Next thing, middle school, high school.
Right.
Your religion, your background, what you did, what you wanted to be, what your dreams were. And just outline it all the way through.
Right.
And then when you begin to write, you start going to the first one and elaborating out on it. And writing, I have discovered, not because I'm not any, famous writer, I had to learn by going along. But as a kid, when I was in school, I used to love writing book reports.
Right.
Oh, you like
And
the
I
book
would do it on the
reports?
type. Yeah, you too?
Hell no.
No?
No,
I used to
sir.
be on the typewriter, and if you made a mistake, you had to put the white piece of paper in to take
Yeah,
out the letter.
yeah, I seen
And I'd be on
those.
the typewriter typing away
Right.
and making a nice, neat report. It could be, I liked doing reports unless the teacher gave a specific subject
Right.
on people.
Gotcha.
So
So back then, did you think? Well, you liked writing back then, right? Is what you're saying?
I liked English class
Right.
and I liked writing reports, but I
So-
never thought I was gonna. I never had. I never thought about writing a book.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that
Okay.
question. So
And
like,
my mother had a little help in it. My father became famous,
right.
and she always would tell me as I got older in high school, "You got to write a book someday," because she knew that she couldn't write the book.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "If anybody can write a book, Mike, you can." So I was in my 20s. I never even
Yeah.
But as time went on, and all the scandal around my father,
Right.
and the Howard Stern show, the radio show, when I called in, and that becoming the #1 radio show of his, of that year for him,
Right.
I realized I had something there.
Mhm.
And then I worked in the media with Joan and Geraldo and at CBS, and I kept watching the calendar to get onto one of their shows, one of Geraldo's shows. And when I saw Can Fatherhood Be Forced,
Mhm.
I spoke to the producer, who had no idea who my father was.
Right.
And I asked her what it was about. And then I told her who my father was. And she took a post off her desk and she gave it to me like this in my face. When I read it, she was trying to find the telephone number of the Cooper family because my father changed his name. His name is Pasquale Caputo. Mine is Michael Caputo. And he changed his name to Pat Cooper, but Howard Stern wouldn't give her the phone number so she can get in touch with me because she probably wanted to do a show.
Mm-hmm.
So she made me understand that you're not going to have as much time on television. We'll do a segment with you as you did on the radio, because I was on the Howard Stern show probably 2 or 3 times, once in the studio for sure,
Mm-hmm.
for many hours. Okay, so I didn't know I was going to write a book back then, even when I was on his show. And I
Right.
didn't think about the book and probably till 2006.
Okay.
And my mother kept pushing, and I'm glad she pushed me because there were times I had writer's block,
Right.
and she'd call me up, and the first thing she'd say, "How's the book coming?" I said, "Ma, I got like writer's block. I can't get the first chapter together, but I got the other chapters. What's going on? What's going on? Come on." And she'd be pushing me,
Mhm.
pushing me. And I thank God that she did, because she lived long enough to read my book.
That's awesome.
And I get very touched with that because, I'm glad that she was able to see that I wrote the book
For sure.
because it was her truth also,
Right.
of what my father tried to do and tried to break her soul. And then we just left us for another woman and adopted a kid and
Yeah,
forgot
that's-
about me and my sister
that's
and
tough.
became a multimillionaire.
That's tough, man. That's
You know,
tough.
And I got to give my mother credit. She had no schooling. She wasn't educated. Wasn't like the women of today.
Mm-hmm.
She would be cleaning houses, walking people's dogs, just so she can give us real Christmases. That Santa Claus brought those presents.
Right. Shout out to all the mothers out there,
So I'm glad that, there's a lot of mothers out there like that.
Mhm, for sure.
I have to say, at least she lived long enough. My grandmother didn't. And the grandmother that I'm close to in my first book, when I
Mhm.
talk about my grandmother, it
Right.
wasn't my mother's mother. It was actually my father's mother.
Right.
And that was an odd situation because he was like, estranged from her also.
Right.
No respect at all to her. And I became like her second son. I filled in for where my father didn't. Okay. So that's how the writing has happened.
So just to shift gears a bit,
Sorry
you
about
mentioned don't worry
Nah,
about
it's
it. We
all
love you, bro. Just to shift gears a bit, you mentioned in the cover of your book that it's the LGBTQ colors and everything like that.
Yeah.
Whatever the phrase may be at this time. No offense to anybody, but so it's safe to say that you are a member. You would claim that you're a member of that community, correct?
I'm a gay male.
Right.
Yes.
Would you say that your relationship with your father when you were young and continuing now affected you?
I knew that question was coming.
Because
Because I've been asked that before.
Yeah,
No,
people
by just
wanna
regular
know.
people,
Yeah.
They would say,
Some
to
people
Mike,
wanna know.
maybe he doesn't talk to you because he knows you're gay. But I would say, really? He doesn't know I'm gay. I never told him.
Right.
And what was his excuse when I was 10 years old? What was his excuse when I was 15?
Exactly.
What was his excuse when I was 20?
Right.
I didn't come out. I didn't come out to my mother till I was in my 40s. So, he didn't know any of that. And he worked in a business where there are lots of gay people. Show business has lots of gay people in and out of the closet. So it definitely wasn't about that, because what was his excuse for not talking to his mother or
Right.
calling her up and aggravating her,
Right,
not
right.
going to her funeral, not sending her Mother's Day gifts, not,
Right.
showing up for Christmas. So no, I can't give him a free pass on that.
So
He
kind
was
of
just a miserable, hateful, angry human being.
So what would you say towards?
And I call him a
the
sperm
best-
donor. I call
Oh.
him my sperm donor. Because you can't call him my father,
right.
Okay.
or dad.
Sure, you got to earn
He's
that
my
title.
sperm donor.
You got to earn that title.
All right.
Right.
For
So
sure.
what would you say for people that I've seen, many debates over that, like, individuals that maybe choose to be gay, etc., that you see one of the reasons where people tend to put the blame on is that lack of fathers within their lives. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I used to think that.
Mhm.
I used to think that when I went to the clubs.
Mhm.
And when I started making friends at the clubs, I realized their fathers were home and present in their life.
Mm.
When I grew up in my neighborhood, there wasn't anybody on my block or in my school that I know that didn't have a father. That wasn't commonplace. Today it's commonplace like crazy.
Right.
But it wasn't commonplace in my day. I felt very, weird. I used to look out the windows and see the fathers taking their sons fishing
Mm-hmm.
and being with their sons, and I used to feel very, sad about that as a
Right.
young boy,
Right.
But I can't say my mother and my grandmother didn't make up that love for me.
No, for sure.
They filled in that gap. My family certainly filled in that gap, but I still wanted to have a dad.
Of course.
And I chased my father for over 50 years when my sister gave up on him at 17.
Mm.
Okay? I chased him for 50 years, and the last time I saw him was in 2017. He wasn't in good shape, but still angry as all. I think a little dementia is happening, and he's 6'2". He's much more frail now.
Right.
He married a younger woman in the 50s, moved to Las Vegas, I think for her to take care of him, before he passes on. So he's never going to change.
Yeah.
And
son his ways.
I realized that, it doesn't matter if you have a father or you don't have a father. And back then, there wasn't even the suggestion that we are born like this. It wasn't a choice, because if God would give me a choice and I was able to look at the earth the way they treat gay people in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even up to now.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, do you want to go down to the earth and be born as a gay person? I'd look at God and say, are you kidding me? I mean, if God took you and said, Eric, would you like to go down to America? It's 1800 in America. Would you like to be born in America? What did that mean? What would that mean about you?
A lot of
You're going
risk.
to be a slave, right?
Yeah, let's speed
You're
it
gonna
up.
be a slave.
Speed it up a little bit for me.
Yeah. Come up a little bit.
Yeah, a
further.
little
Dear
bit.
God, please. Thank
Let's
you.
hit the 21st century first.
So
Yeah,
there's
I
this
get
up
that.
in, there's up in the air about being born, not being born. I don't really know for sure.
Right, I
know?
gotcha.
But I know I was different when I was a really young boy.
Gotcha,
I just
gotcha.
couldn't digest it, and I couldn't comprehend why I was different.
Right.
And I thought maybe because, I don't like sports,
Mhm.
so does that make me a gay? And I had the faggot word thrown at me so much growing up.
Right.
And I had a girlfriend for 4 years.
Right.
And I was intimate with my girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I had no trouble with the woman. These guys that were calling me faggot, I never seen them once with a girl. I never seen them once with a girl. And my girlfriend actually taught me what to do. Where was the sensitive spots on her body. And I'm talking about like when I was 14 till 19, when I finally broke up with her.
Right.
And then I started to go to gay clubs by two guys I had met. And they took me and I went, oh my God. And I always tell everybody, getting into the gay life, it's sort of like, it's like quicksand. Once you step into it, it's like hard to get out. It's like quicksand. It's like it pulls you in. I was like, and men have sex like a sport. Women get more emotional with sex.
I can see
Men
that.
could, not even think about, go and do, boom, bang, done, leave.
Tally
Who
the
wants a
numbers,
hug,
man.
I can see
cuddle,
that.
you know what I'm trying to say?
I can see
So,
that.
it was so much easier for me to get sex. Not that my girlfriend, she was teaching me things.
Exactly.
I mean, she was teaching me things. So, and I dug it. I was like into it,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still fooling around with the boys my age in the neighborhood,
Right.
when I was 16 and 17. It was a couple in the neighborhood, not the ones that were bullying me, but there were a couple in the neighborhood.
Could you
that
imagine,
were,
though?
We were doing things in the backyard and stuff.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah,
childlike things.
experimenting. Yeah.
Experimenting.
Yeah.
So
But,
anyway,
switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, huh?
What you mean, yeah?
I said no, like you get it, like you understand,
What
like
you mean you get it?
listen, I don't listen.
All right, man.
You understand, you know what I'm saying? It's like
gay. Listen,
no,
listen,
it's like
you're gay if you masturbated with listen.
it's kind of like the situation where like you got a girl, right? You chilling or whatever, and then you got other girls in the back or whatever. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Why?
Relax, man.
And it also
Chill out.
doesn't make it also doesn't make you gay if you're 14 or 15-year old and you're looking at a Playboy magazine back then, because you couldn't look at a porn movie back then because there was no DVDs and all that stuff. You had
Right.
the reel to reel, and nobody had that. So
Right.
if you're with one of your buddies and you're looking at a beautiful woman in Playboy magazine and you're both masturbating together, that doesn't make you a gay person.
Sure.
You're just a 14-year-old kid.
Pretty much.
Your hormones, you're coming into puberty. That doesn't make you a homosexual.
Yeah, you don't know any better at that point.
You
But-
don't know any better. You know what
Yeah,
I'm trying to
you're
say? I love having this podcast with two straight men. It's great. It's like really.
We
mad
love you
cool.
too,
I
bro,
just
man.
hope that the response, I just hope the response is going to be as cool.
No, man, we love
It's
you
like
too,
I'm
man.
like sitting here, like saying, I look over my shoulder when I leave here.
So
Anyway,
Mhm.
you want to go into here?
Oh,
Tell me,
what-
it's up to you. Got
Oh, what
questions?
you?
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna
So
yep.
you mentioned earlier when we talked to you earlier on the phone that back then you got it was more people of the LGBTQ et cetera. They were more crucified if you say for their choices that they made in connection with their sexuality. And then you also mentioned that the word queer, how they've taken it and
Yeah.
they've empowered the word. They changed it. and
They've
they took the
reclaimed it.
Exactly.
They've reclaimed it. And the only way I could accept that is I'm 65 years old. This is the new generation. We've passed the torch to them.
Right.
I can't tell the younger generation what to do. I can only tell them the history and what we've done for them so that they can walk down the street and they can go to clubs and they're free. It's not against the law, but I could tell them when it was against the law, what it was like and how many people died in our community so that they can get to a better day as the same in your community.
Mm.
How many people have died in your community so you can vote, so
For
you
sure.
can get to a better day and you're still fighting. The fight is never over. So
Yeah.
I want my community, the young people, to know that you must always fight and always look over your back and never blink an eye because these religious fanatics will want to take away your rights.
Mhm.
They are anti-gay, anti-black, and in America, this will never not be a racist country. This country, if you're not a white, straight, male Christian or a WASP, you're just
Yeah.
below the line.
Pretty much.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be a fight. And there ain't any of us, not the blacks,
Mhm.
not the women, not the gays, or the LGBTQ community,
Mhm.
it's called that now, was it called the gay community in my time, is going back.
Yeah.
We are not going back. You're not going back, and I'm definitely not going back.
For sure.
I'm not letting them take my rights away.
For sure.
And I
Work
thank
too
God
hard.
for Obama for making that marriage legal.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did it. And he was very smart. He did it in his second term
Yeah.
because maybe he might not have got
Exactly.
reelected by some of the
Exactly.
religious black folks that were
For
out
sure.
there.
For sure. You played it
You know,
smart.
he played it really smart. I have a
Mhm.
lot of respect for that man. But I will tell you that the hate that I've seen for that man on Facebook, when they put me in Facebook jail for just quoting Kanye West,
Yeah.
they put me in Facebook jail for 30 days. When I used to see when Obama was president,
Yeah.
with a noose around his neck being hung, and people wishing his daughters caught AIDS
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah. They were
So
going
that's
crazy.
how much hate is out there in white supremacy.
They were going crazy on
Okay,
them. Yeah.
really going crazy on the man,
Oh, we see
and
it
they
every
hate
day,
the
man.
idea
Oh, yeah, for sure.
that a black man became president.
Oh my God.
And I say to
hated
myself, and I say it out to everybody out there, I just ask God if I live long enough to see a black woman get elected there, because that will really shove it up their butt.
It's coming. It's coming.
I hope it's coming,
It's definitely
and I don't
coming.
want it to come by Joe Biden passing away and Kamala.
Listen, we'll take it how we get it.
How do you say her first name? I don't wanna say-
Kamala.
Kamala?
Kamala.
Kamala. Yeah, I don't wanna say
Kamala.
her- I always say her name.
Yeah.
wrong.
Kamala.
That's
Miss
Kamala.
Harris, just get in there.
There's a lot
And
of
if people
other
turn around and
names.
say to me, "Oh well, she didn't get elected." Obama got elected, and he got elected twice.
Exactly.
Scoreboard.
Listen,
So-
we'll take it how we get it. You know what I mean?
You know.
But
So-
yeah, switch gears if you want to get
Okay.
into that
So I'm just
paragraph.
going to give a general idea of what my book's about,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and then maybe we'll, So I think most people must know this, but who knows? I might be dropping a bomb on people, or they might be, Chameleon, the Memoir, is a collection of my intimate stories and encounters growing up in a homophobic society. I wasn't your stereotypical Brooklyn boy who loved watching sports on television or enjoyed playing touch football in the streets. I was raised Catholic and attended 3 different parochial schools in the 60s and 70s. All that made it difficult to come into my own identity and purpose. It was almost impossible to even think gay. I went from being an innocent altar boy to an older gay man caught up in the middle of the John Travolta sex scandal that put me on the front page of the Daily News and written up in People magazine and the National Enquirer. Although I lived a straight life in my teens and had a girlfriend with whom I was in love, I was still bullied and bombarded with gay slurs. The constant struggle of trying to fit in left me feeling anxious and depressed for most of my adolescent years. Instinctively, I lived my life like a chameleon to survive and protect myself. I learned how to play the game once I entered my 20s, but I still had one foot in the closet unless I was out dancing in the gay clubs in Manhattan. I struggled to find my identity, but I was afraid that I wouldn't be accepted or loved by my mother, family, or peers anymore if I revealed who I really was. I held on to my secret for years and at times felt imprisoned. I learned about the down low lifestyle from all those so-called straight guys I hooked up with in Brooklyn. I thought that could be another option for me, and maybe I could have the best of both worlds too. But deep inside, I knew I couldn't pull that off. I never lost my desire to have sex with men on the DL, but refused to live a double life and use a woman as a beard. Once I let go of all that guilt that I grew up with and embraced my true self instead of hiding it, I started to live and enjoy my life. This is my journey from being an ashamed and insecure teenager to becoming a proud gay man with a voice that will not be silenced and feelings that will no longer be ignored. That's the whole sketch of my book.
So the
Now let's
title.
going to go into the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say the title makes a lot of sense, and you
Yeah.
kind of.
Chameleon,
Mhm.
well, you know, the reptile.
Yeah.
That's why I called it Chameleon a Memoir, because
Mhm.
if I just named it Chameleon or Chameleons,
Exactly.
then anybody Googling that, they're going to get all the books that come up under reptile.
Right.
So by making it a memoir, somebody will know, well, that's a book about somebody's life.
Mhm.
It's my second memoir.
Right.
And the chameleon also refers to the guys that are living on the DL
Mhm.
because they have to protect themselves. So when they're with their straight friends,
Right.
they're making fun and saying, "Oh, look at that fucking homo! I hate those homos! I hate that transgender! Blah 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 blah. Nothing goes near my butt except toilet paper! Blah 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 blah." And then when their friends are not around with their straight friends, or they go on a business trip,
Mhm.
then they're hooking up with men or in bathhouses or in sex clubs,
Exactly.
not gay clubs.
Mhm.
Porno movie theaters in Times Square.
Mhm.
Times Square. It had about 50 porno movie theaters, peep shows, sex live shows, everything went on. I met so many people in there from the post office, people who come in there for an hour quickies when they were on their lunch hour in suits and jackets. They had transgenders in there, prostitutes, crack, everything. All so much sex on 42nd Street. It was the most unsafe place to be, but you could find any sexual fantasy you wanted to, and that's where everybody was hiding. Because you're not going to get a straight guy that's going to walk into a gay club, and you're not going to get a straight guy walking into a bathhouse. Because if they're caught, then they know, whoever sees them,
Mhm.
they know that they're gay. But seeing a straight man walk out of a porno movie theater, XXX movie theater, where they only have straight porn, well, there's nothing unusual about that.
Right.
That's very commonplace. But what they're doing when they're in there in the seats with the guy that's coming around looking, and or if they're going down the bathroom fooling around, there's a whole party going on. And it went on for years, all over the city, in every bathroom on the subway stations, sex going on, people stopping off in the bathrooms having sex, in every borough, in every state, in every part of the world. This goes on.
That's wild.
And that's why I named it Chameleon, because there are more people that are probably in the closet than ones that are out of the closet. Because some people just can't hide it.
Yeah.
If they're really gay or they're very effeminate, they can't hide that they're gay.
Right.
You know, just like you can't hide that you're black.
I
But
can't.
you can get a straight guy that people look at and he's very, very macho.
Right.
And they're gonna, he has a girlfriend, kid. He's straight. And then look at Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
Okay? Look at Aaron Hernandez. Gay.
Yeah.
Definitely a gay guy. Even when he was in jail, talking to his mother on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he was in jail. Okay? And I don't know if you saw the Mind of Aaron Hernandez. It's a Netflix special.
Mm-hmm.
The boy that fooled around with him growing up
Right.
all the time. And the boy's father was there. And they were talking about Aaron Hernandez, who was definitely gay. Even when he was in jail talking to his mother on the phone, he says, "I can't stand these freaks." She said, what are you talking about? He said, "They keep looking at me." He said, "What are you talking about? You know the transgenders. You know they're freaks. I can't stand them looking. They're always looking at me. And she said, stop calling them freaks. They're people too. And I stood there. This is the end of the movie. I stood there to shake my head. Even to the end, before he committed suicide, even to the end, he was denying what his sexuality was. He couldn't even stand them looking at him. Meanwhile, he was in bed fooling around with probably some of them, or growing up, like I said, with his best buddy.
It's possible. Yeah.
In Chameleon, you mentioned something about being the headlines of a scandal. If
Yeah.
our audience hears that,
You beat me to
so
it.
Okay. All right.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I heard John Travolta. For those who
Yes.
don't know,
Okay.
that's
Let me tell you how that happened.
that's homie from Greece.
Okay.
You know.
I worked at the Peninsula Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel on Fifth Avenue.
Uh-huh.
We were the only game in town then. I was a licensed massage therapist. You had to be licensed to do massage. It was an upscale place. It wasn't a place that gave you happy endings. It wasn't like, every corner now you go to, you see they call themselves a spa.
Right.
We were the only game in town. The massages were like $90 when I started, $180 when I finally got out of there. And we had a lot of celebrities come in. We had rappers come in. And the way it worked was you always they would ask you on the phone, you want to book an appointment. They would always ask if you preferred a male or female therapist. They had to do that. Because even some people for religion, if you were a Muslim woman, you can't have a man working on,
Right.
So we always did that for people. We had a lot of homophobic guys that they felt that they weren't secure enough in their sexuality, that they felt that if they had a man working on them, they felt that it meant they were homosexual,
Right.
which is totally ridiculous because I tell all those guys, you like football? You like baseball? You like soccer? They go, yeah, I love sports. Who do you think massages those guys? You think it's a woman in there?
True.
In there? It's a man.
Yeah, it's true.
None of those men are getting massaged by women unless they're going on the outside.
Right.
Okay? So it's always a man touching another man's body. Doesn't make them homosexual.
Right.
But we have to,
You
we're
know.
business.
Yeah.
So John Travolta was a regular there. Had his wife and his kids down in the floor below, come up to the spa. He always requested a male. Didn't mean nothing. Didn't mean nothing at all. I worked on a lot of men, more women, but I worked on a lot of men who were very secure in their sexuality and knew I was gay, and they didn't care. They just wanted a good damn massage.
Right.
And I was really good at it. I was highly requested at the spa and written up in 3 major magazines as being one of the best massages, of the year in Allure magazine, which is a women's magazine.
Dope.
In any event, I don't want to come off like I'm bragging, but this was just
Humble brag.
talk
Humble
your
my
brag.
thing. You know what I mean?
Humble
Talk your
brag.
shit, bro.
Yeah. So he came in, and every time he came in, he was trying to pull off his shenanigans in the room with the massage therapist. Now, not all the massage therapists were gay.
Right.
We had straight male massage therapists, and we had gay female ones and straight female ones. And I know the guys always thought when they booked when the guys, like young guys were coming in, we had a relaxation lounge like this. And I would, we would go out and greet the client. They would have a water or tea. And I'd go out there and greet the client and say, Mr. Eric, Mr. Rob, I'm Michael, I'm Michael Caputo. I'm your massage therapist for the next hour. Take you into the room. You get your stuff off. You have to be draped in the room on the table. You can't be naked.
Right.
And you have to, I knock on the door. You give me the okay to come in. Fine. No problem. So, and I also was a facialist. I was a skincare specialist, and I was licensed in that also. I was the first male in the school in New York City to go for that. It's a 3-month school, 4-month school, and the first male at the Peninsula to give facials
Nice.
and do skincare work. And I also did payroll at the Peninsula, and I did manager on duty shifts.
Man of many hats.
So everybody knew me there, and I would come in, and they would pay me my massage rate, and I would come in jeans on the day I did payroll, which was every 2 weeks. So, the massage therapists, when they were on their downtime, would come into me, and they would keep telling me, Mike, I worked on Travolta, and he's doing this, doing that. I would say to him, they knew I was gay. I'd say, why are you telling me? Tell the boss. Tell the boss.
Right.
So they told the boss or whatever. They said that they didn't want to work on him anymore. And they were banding together as the massage therapist that if he wanted a massage and they were going to book him with a male, that they were going to be on a list at the front desk that if he requests a male, that they better not request one of them. And I wouldn't have taken that either because this was a legit trade. I could lose my license
Exactly.
if I do any shenanigans in the room.
Right.
And I didn't have to do that there. I had plenty of stuff going on at my apartment, like I just told you about. So I wasn't desperate like that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand why John would take a chance like that. being a celebrity with such a name.
Exactly.
What exactly was he doing?
I'm
was
going to tell you.
turning-
I'm getting
Let's go get
up
into
to
it.
it.
Go get
So
into it.
I went into my boss and I told her this. She says, I know. We were run by a management company. We weren't run by the hotel,
Right.
but we were in the hotel in the spa on the top of the pool. And the hotel was our landlord, but they didn't manage the spa.
Right.
So she said, I told the manager at the meeting every morning that she went to, what's going on with John Travolta.
Mhm.
Now, if you were doing that, they would have thrown you out the window. But
Sure.
because it was John Travolta
You get a
and
little
his
leeway.
name
Yeah.
spending millions of dollars a year there,
Yeah, you get a little
if he would
leeway.
have got caught up in the scandal, would told me, and if they would have told him he wasn't allowed there, he
Right.
might tell his friend who might be another famous actor
Exactly.
like Tom Cruise or something, don't go to the peninsula because they banning me, and the peninsula will lose all that money.
Exactly.
So it's always about the money.
Of course.
Always,
Okay,
of
it's
course.
always about the money.
Mm-hmm.
So
To
my
this
boss
day.
said, I said, what are they going to do? She said, they're just not doing nothing, Mike. I said, well, a lot of the massage therapists are uncomfortable. So when I finally got out of there, I had my own business in my apartment, and I was doing massage and body grooming for men because I wasn't giving facials because you needed equipment. So
Right.
men that wanted the hair off their eyebrows or their back, I would shave them. These were men that didn't like waxing, like to be shaved.
Mhm.
So I had my own business, and I had a kick-ass website
Nice.
online. So John Travolta was going through the scandal from other people around the country on cruise ships of them accusing him.
Mhm.
And they were John Doe 1 and John Doe 2.
Of course.
And they might have been licensed, they might not have been licensed, but he was trying to do it with everybody around the country. I didn't pay any attention to it. One day I get a call, and it's the Daily News asking me if I can do an exclusive with them if I know anything about John Travolta. Now, they knew I worked at the Peninsula because on my website,
Yeah.
it said I worked there.
Exactly.
And I had my number there. So that's how they got my phone number.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking to myself, wow, I just kind of like published my book a few years ago.
Mm.
This is great. I could plug my book,
There you go.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. And I could talk about my business, get more business coming to my house,
Mhm.
which wasn't really, I couldn't do that in the co-op I was living in.
Mhm.
And if they caught me, if you're a hairstylist or whatever,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to work out of your apartment, whether you're renting or you own the apartment, you can't do
Right.
it. But anyway, I got away with it for like 5 years.
Nice.
And in any event, so I said, sure. Oh, well, can we do it at your house? We'll come pick you up by limousine. We'll do anything you want. We'll do any restaurant you want in the city. I said, wait, guys. No, you're not coming to the house. I'll meet you in the city. What restaurant you want to go? Any restaurant you want to go to, we'll take you to. I said, no, you pick the restaurant. No
Mhm.
problem. I says, and I'll come down there. I said, but can I bring a friend of mine? Because he actually worked on John Travolta. I said, you're going to be questioning me, but I've never worked on Travolta.
Right.
I just know what he's done because all the people are coming to me
Mhm.
because I do shifts there. I worked at the spa for so many years. I know what's going on.
Right.
Okay, you could bring your friend. So we go down to a beautiful restaurant in the village, and they're getting the liquor and everything, and I don't drink.
Mhm.
They're trying to get us drunk. My
I
friend's
see.
drinking the wine. He's sitting next to them. They're across the way. They got all these cameras. They went outside and took about 200 pictures of me outside. I said, what's going on? So now they're starting to ask me. So I told them the same story I told you, what's going on.
Mhm.
He used to go in the room. You have to go in the room. You have to be draped, like I said. You go in the room, you knock on the door, you go in. He starts talking to you a little bit, starts asking you, just little questions, feeling you out kind of thing. And then he starts moving his butt on the table, grinding his butt on the table to make the sheets slide kind of off, exposing his big fat butt. Because he didn't look like he looked like in Saturday Night Fever when he came to the spa.
Veteran move right
Yeah.
there.
He was
Smooth.
definitely,
It's a veteran move.
definitely forget about
He's
it.
done that before.
It was a
Yeah.
mess. So in any event, so he does that, and the massage therapists were uncomfortable with that. So I told the Daily News that. And they said, well, you were in the media, and he called me at 8 o'clock at night when we're done with everything, doing all the taping, even a tape recorder, okay? That's to protect themselves.
Mhm.
In any event, so he says, he called me up at 8 o'clock, the guy that did me. He said, there's a chance that this might get on the front page. I said, are you kidding me? He said, yeah. He said, but you already told me you're used to being in the media, so no problem. I said, okay. So I told my friend who came down with me, with them, he walks his dogs, he got up early. I would sleep a little bit later. So he said, Mike, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'll go check the newsstands and see what's going on.
Mhm.
Calls me at 6:15 in the morning. Mike, you're all over the front pages of the Daily News, and you're in the centerfold.
Mm.
John Travolta banned from the hotel. No, I never told the Daily News that he was banned from the hotel.
Right.
The hotel never banned John Travolta, but the Daily News twisted my words. The massage therapist got together and banned against working on him. But the Daily News did that because they knew that would sell more papers and make big scandal.
Right.
When that hit the newspaper, I was getting phone calls from France, from every country in Europe, from Entertainment Tonight. Everybody wanted to do an interview with me. They wanted, but I gave the Daily News the exclusive. I got nothing more to tell you.
Exactly.
But do we still want to interview? No, People Magazine, I spoke with them because I knew they were legit. National Enquirer, I told I wouldn't do anything, but they still mentioned it anyway. Told her twice. She called me 3 times. Come in National Enquirer. No, I don't want to be in a National Enquirer.
Right.
No. But she still wrote it,
Mhm.
from what you got from the papers. So when John Travolta had come in there and all that went down, I was afraid to leave the house because I thought the paparazzi was going to be outside my house
I don't
and
blame
they're
you.
going to blow it for me with doing massage in my house. My building would see it, and that would have been the end of my business.
Right. So-
Anyway, so what I saw John Travolta do when I was there, because I never massaged him, and by the way, even though they interviewed my friend and he worked on John Travolta,
Right.
his name wasn't even mentioned in any place of the article
Oh, wow.
because he didn't say that John Travolta did anything with him. And I was the one that said, but I knew the info because my friend was kicking me under the table. Why do I have to protect John?
Right.
I wasn't outing him. He was
Right, right.
already outed. Everybody knew he was gay
For
or
sure.
bisexual or
Or
whatever.
something. Whatever. Yeah.
But don't forget, he's with Scientology.
Yeah.
And they're not
okay.
down with
Yeah,
homosexuality.
yeah. I see.
And they only accept him because of all the money that he gives to probably them. Him, Tom Cruise, and dozens of other people with that cult Scientology.
Right. So,
Right. So-
unfortunately, we do want to get to the rest of that story, but you're gonna have to come back and watch that again. We're definitely doing a part 2 with Michael here. Ran out of time. You know how that goes. So on behalf of me and Rob, rest of the EOV project, Mr. Michael Caputo, thank you so much
Thank you.
for stopping by.
Favorite guest
You're
so
welcome.
far, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 5 stars. 5 stars for sure. But we'll see him again for sure.
Stay OV
So,
project.
Yeah,
see
Yeah,
how
guys.
much I got here.
Appreciate
I
you
haven't gotten
guys.
started. Thank you guys. It's an
All
honor
right,
to
man.
be on your show.